I will talk on, I'll have a background, just explain a bit on digital library, which you've heard already. And then I'll focus on the digital library initiatives in Nigeria and South Africa. And I'll focus on the observations and suggestions on the way forward for the two countries. For those who don't know, Nigeria is on the west coast with 64 universities, and South Africa is on the southern part of Africa with 23 universities. We've had digital library has been explained. I'll just emphasize here is the use of technology to acquire, store, preserve, and provide access to information and materials. The key elements of the digital library: the collection, the provision of information, as we've heard, the access tools, online catalogs, subject gateways. The key elements again include the services we render, the networking, and the expertise within the library for the application of new technologies. Expertise, the human resources have been told, is very crucial for a digital library to take off. Here I've put on the various initiatives of the digital library in a university environment, from the library website, Ask the Librarian, integrated library systems, online courses, research support, library instruction. There's a various range of services. Again, I'm sure most of us have heard about these services. I look at the digital library initiatives in South Africa. There are various initiatives which many of you are familiar with. In the 70s, there were online searches. In the 80s, we had automated library systems, Eureka, Erudite. We had the Gopher, the Bluetooth Network, the World Wide Web in the 80s. In the 90s, we went on to electronic document delivery, again, opaque library systems. We started digitizing in 1997. Thereabout, we started things like digital imaging of South Africa, electronic thesis and dissertations. Projects started in South Africa in 1996. Now we're looking at digital repositories. DSpace, ePrint are being used. And as I mentioned, there are various services. We have access to e-resources, journals, full text databases, online courses, scholarly communications, manuscript finding, etc. As mentioned earlier, the key element in making digital library initiatives feasible is expertise within the library for the application of new technologies to library activities and bibliographic research skills. I've put up here just the web page of my university. You can see we have e-journal portal, we have subject portal, we have electronic thesis and dissertations. Those are the range of services we offer in the country. That's another university. That's a typical subject portal page. This is chemistry subject portal. We're trying to give value-added services. Now, I looked at digital library initiatives in Nigerian universities. Being of Nigerian origin and working in South Africa, I was interested. And I went on to a few sites that were identified by the Nigerian government as pilot sites. I looked at their websites, and I must say it's quite rudimentary. Some of the universities didn't have any website in this age. There was one page of general information in some university websites. In one website, there was a link to e-granary, and there was also a library link that could not open. The reasons for these are poor and inadequate communication facilities, poor level of computer literacy, poor level of computer facilities, poor level of awareness, and minimum involvement of academic institutions in network in Africa. It's on the electronic thesis and dissertation initiative in South Africa. The resources we use, the universities that have initiatives. That's another website of my university on our ETD database. I will focus on, in South Africa, we're trying to look at a national electronic ETD system, and that's what it's going to look like. Let me come to observations and suggestions. The Nigerian system has a good system in place. They have a National Universities Commission, which is charged with responsibility of development of universities in Nigeria. They have a Department of Information and Communication Technology in that, which can be a springboard for innovation in Nigeria. But however, that hasn't happened. But they have the structure, what I call the governance structure in place to take off. As I mentioned earlier, the 11 universities that are selected had very minimal presence on the web. But I think they're in a position to do that if they have appropriate funding and training. In South Africa, we have a lot of initiatives. Research and development of digital library is presently, however, uncoordinated. Each university goes its own way. There is some adequate funding, so we can do anything we want to do. But I think we need a centralized and coordinated direction. Something has been proposed, it hasn't taken off yet. As I've mentioned here, we need something similar, incidentally similar to a structure that Nigeria has, or what I call the United Kingdom's Joint Information Systems Committee. That is a very innovative committee that's driving digital library initiatives in the UK. And that's the mandate of that institution. I think South Africa, the National Research Foundation, has come in because we have moved them to say, look, come in and have a role to play here. Could we set up a committee consisting of representatives from various types of libraries and archives so that we can begin to research digital libraries as is happening in the developed world? Also in the developed world, many of you would know that there are multi-country, multi-team digital library projects. I think somewhere I've heard that there's an Indian, US project on digital libraries. I think we need something like that in Africa. There isn't any collaboration in Africa that I'm aware of. And I think it's very crucial in Africa for us to be able to have a multi-country initiative. Now, there are a few digital library service centers in higher education institutions in South Africa and Nigeria. Yes, libraries or institutions have digital library initiatives, but there isn't a center. I realize if it's not coordinated within an institution, then there wouldn't be much rollout. As I said, in many of the institutions in South Africa, it's the libraries that are crucially driving the process. But we're moving in my institution to say, look, we must have a coordinated process where every arm of the university is involved, and those that need to be involved in digital programs. Such a center is necessary in an institution if the institution is to engage in a coordinated digital library program. You must have a digital library center or digital initiative center, not digital library, digital initiative center. From my experience, universities in Europe and America have positions of digital librarians and even executive directors of digital library projects. And for us, I think this is very crucial if we want to take off in a big way, as has happened in the developed world. Thank you so much.